Hi guys, Mr. Jaeger here, and welcome. Welcome to Invictus launch week. Yes, and I am not at the Beppin Event Center. In fact, I'm not even on the day of Invictus. Today's date is the 14th of May, and I am doing a somewhat late night recording session, getting prepped and getting all the exciting stuff done. But today we're going to be having a crack, going towards a little thing up in the sky above our Area 18. This is, in fact, my wonderful, wonderful home in our core for this particular patch cycle. And, the weather's actually pretty nice. So, yes, today we are going to be looking at the Idris. Yes, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the description and the video title and everything else like that, the Idris is in-game. And finally, in a more accessible point. Oh my god. Yeah, no, the Idris is something that, ever since I attempted to record it previously, I've been wanting to see what it was like inside the ship for such a long period of time. And after waiting and attempting to do so in the previous Invictus launch week and failing because of the amount of lag, the amount of poorly timed tours and everything, I just didn't get the chance. But now, finally, I got ya, bastard. Yes, we are here, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So, 4.1.1, I really hate this patch name, by the way, has finally launched, with it being the Invictus launch week patch, and all of the fancy pants things for this year, for the year 2955, will be awesome. Of course, the big thing for me is that this is the 5th anniversary of Invictus launch week. That's right, I have been covering this series for over 5 years in a row, and I will say I'm pretty proud of that particular fact, most definitely. Though the way that the formatting is, it's going to be different. There we go. So, we're going to quickly get ourselves set up over on the point. So I will see you when we're in the position. And we're here, and it is Invictus launch week. Yes, glorious. Yes, the UEE Navy. Lovely. So yes, we are here, and more importantly, we are looking at the in-game Idris P. That's right, not the Idris M, which obviously a lot of people out there would probably prefer, but don't fear, we're still going to get our Idris love thing, whatever you want to call it. But yes, this is the Idris P, the peacekeeping, civilian-esque version of the Idris, which is fine. It's an Idris, that's the important thing. I couldn't quite get my Idris, but hey-ho. By the way, if you're not a fan of heights, I would advise strongly to not look down here. But yes, so this is the Idris experience display. Basically, we've now got an Idris P. Someone's very kindly lent us one of the new-ish civilian lineups, and it's basically currently chilling in the Arc Core Tower, 2 clicks up from the ground. I don't know if there's a possibility for us to see some of the... unfortunately, my armor, for once, is being an absolute pain, but if we... Oh, yeah. So, like, if you want to see how high we are, that's how tall this building is. Yeah, if you can see roughly that little... yeah, you see that tiny speck moving to the south of the video there? That's the tram. I swear to God, this is mental. But truth be told, this is also absolutely stunning in terms of views. I kind of hope that we can just kind of stand up here after the event just so we can see these clouds and the sky and everything. It honestly looks stunning, really does. But we're not here for the views, we're here for the ship. So without further ado, let's get cracking on some of the things that we're going to be having here. So the first thing you'll notice, of course, is the holographic display of the Idris P, giving you a brief description of what the ship is. And basically, it is the Peacekeeper variant of the UEE Patrol Services. The Idris P strips down the standard ship-to-ship gun, the size 10 MAC gun, and spinal mount, in favor of additional cargo capacity and additional speed. So the cargo capacity for the Idris P is 1,072 SCU, And the stowage apparently of 32k SPU, whatever, but I think that's more like internal cargoes and everything. But the big appeal of this ship is its speed and, of course, its capacity to be a more or less floating base. Then you're being presented with this particular thing, which I honestly think is fucking sick. This is a missile turret. A manned missile turret. I think this is the first of its kind in Star Citizen. So, very, very nice. And firing, what is it, size 7s? Yes, 7s. because fuck you, just needed a little bit of a boost. Because, yeah. Yeah, so basically infrared missile turret, so this thing is going to be designed to royally fuck over anyone who decides to play ball with this one. So who knows, maybe this will be an option for a particular ship. Now, as you're approaching towards the Idris P, you're presented with 6 very potent torpedoes. Now, these torpedoes you won't actually see in the Idris P. These torpedoes are, in fact, for the Idris T. Torpedo Idris, no shot. But here's the cool thing. These particular types of torpedoes, not only do we have 3 different types of the same thing, with the different methods of either cross-reference, infrared, and heat-seeking, cross-section, but we also have different types. So, for example, this is an executor torpedo. It's a bearing, dependable, size 9, anti-ship, anti-installation weapon. So, the concept being floated here is that the Idris T could be not just an anti-ship device, but also an anti-everything around a facility device, including the facility itself. So this particular thing is basically a cruise missile. Straight up. Like, this is just 100% a cruise missile. And I welcome the concept of such things, bearing in mind this is a size 12, which is, if you may recall, the only other ship in the fleet at the moment that has this kind of destructive capability would be the Javelin, having 32 of these little bastards. Yeah, these things. Actually, to be fair, one thing I would like to highlight as well is you can actually tell visually which one is which by the front of the torpedo. So you can see this one's got its funky thing on the front there, then you've got this one wearing the red lens, and then finally you've got this one which looks like a sniffer dog. Obviously, bearings, particular designs, very angled, very much like what it is, so you can definitely tell that's a bearing. This one, little easier to tell the difference between the 3 of them. So you've got the big old fisheye lens, you've got the whatever the hell that is, and then you've got whatever the hell that is. But this one is just more or less a traditional type of torpedo, and as you can tell by its design, it's even got the fins on the back, which is why I say it's got fins. It should have fins, but it doesn't, but it could do. But yeah, the Town-on weapon defense systems, you can see all 3 of them even have different coloring as well. And obviously, as you can tell by this particular thing, this one is an EM torpedo, so this one's an electromagnetic for signals, which is pretty good. Each of these descriptions is basically the same thing, only it's called the Calamity. These things are called the Calamities. But as you can see, you've got a cross-section there, and then you have the electromagnetic, and then, of course, if you push to the far left side, you have the heat-seeking, which is infrared, which actually makes sense for what you're describing. The same thing applies to this thing. You've got the Executor torpedo. Ordnance is dependable as the EX-312. Executor is no exception. Anti-ship and anti-installation, bearing engineers, turbs. But yeah, so this one's electromagnetic. Then we've got the cross-section, and then we finally do have the infrared. So pretty impressive amounts of firepower and extremely terrifying if you are a person with a particular base that you've just built. Just going to put that one in there. But one thing as you approach towards the Idris, that one last thing you look at before we can get started at the tour, I know we're super fucking pumped, is this thing. Now, this thing is actually really kind of cool. This thing is the PPB 116 Pepper Box. This is a PDC missile system, which again, first of its kind. It has 16 size 1 missiles, which basically disrupts missile and also allowing you to do some pretty effective countermeasures for that, providing players the optimal choice between defending the ship or shooting the living shit out of things from the ship. So that is something that could, in the future, be extremely viable for anyone who wants to customize how their ship goes, which I think is a pretty cool thing. Again, I'm just going to highlight how... Oh, that's fucking sick. There's a Polaris in the background like, I'm watching you, boy. I'm going Arthur Morgan on your ass, and I'll tell you that now. Dutch has got a plan for you, and it is not going to be pretty. But yes. Oh, hello. Hello, sir. Yes, very brave of you. Now, I'm sure if you decide to jump, then it would be hilarious, Cinema, but I don't think you're that silly. No, he's not going to be that silly, but still. So, yes, this is the Idris, and as you can see, it's a big fucker. Very, very big, but also absolutely lovely. I don't have one, and I don't think I'll ever get one, but still, I have friends who have one, so it's all right. So, obviously, this ship is very, very big, and I don't really know how I'm going to focus around this. I'm probably going to edit this down quite a bit. So, we're going to focus on key points throughout the tour, and you're not going to see the entirety of the big ship, but the entirety of the big ship would be basically me walking around corridors, and I realize that not everyone loves to see that. So I'm going to be as quick and as efficient as I can. We're going to first of all start by going to the bridge, the big fancy pants location first, because then everywhere else it kind of builds up the excitement. We're going to save we're going to save the hangars till last, because I think that's a pretty good option for that. So we are here on near the bridge, and it's taken us a couple of seconds to get through. This ship is massive, and so the first thing I want to highlight is that you actually have the ability to access the size 7 turrets that are available on this thing. It's got quite a few weapons. Now, in the terms of firepower, let me just... can I hop on these things, or is this non-interactable? Looks like it's non-interactable. You could access this on the PTU, but unfortunately for here, not so lucky. Makes sense, to be fair. But no, so... the thing with this particular ship, at least when it comes to its weapon capabilities, is it has quite a lot of size 7 turrets as well as some size 5s. But it doesn't really have any main effective weapons. It is effectively a mobile base, which is exactly what you want it to be. As you can see, we've got some computer parts here as well, so it's going to be fancy. Anyway, making our way actually into the bridge, we get these really stunning things there. You got an actual... oh, you got the gallant. Nice. I got one with an EM stabilizer. But yes, as you can see, we have multiple chairs. Now, obviously, not every chair is going to have... well, there's going to be multiple chairs, and not entirely sure whether this will just be for someone to chill at or whatever. But hey-ho, we have a bridge. We have not only the bridge, but we also have the... and we're also to ourselves as well. Happy days. But just look at that. That view. That fucking view. You know what? That's a fucking that's the thumbnail for the bloody video. That. Oh, that's even cooler. So like something like that as a thumbnail. Oh, baby, that is a thumbnail, and that, by the way, is an absolutely stunning view. I am taking screenshots for my workbench, for my worktop, because holy shit, it is absolutely stunning. Oh my god. But okay, so as you can see, we have got some pretty impressive size. I think I'm trying to load up the Star Citizen Tools webpage for the equipment, and as per usual, trying to get any kind of information when you absolutely need it to be, obviously gone. Now, so we have got multiple 8 size 7 turrets mounting 2 size 5 Goldrine repeaters. So you've got 2 on the top each side, and you have 1 at the front, obviously 1 couple underneath, and we'll try and get to the seeing access point there. But each of these particular things has got quite the large... oh, there we go. Just chop over there. Perfect. So yeah, so we have multiple turrets of the Goldrine. So size 5s. Not the biggest weapons, of course, but still size 5s. We also have a bunch of... couple of M9 cannons as well. Now, I don't know if that's pilot controlled or not. I don't know. Truth be told, I don't know if that is the case. But if it is, then that would be the only thing that this particular ship has access to in terms of weapons. Other than that, we have a number of remote control turrets with size 4 Revenant Gatlings. We also then have a bunch of PDCs as well, which won't be player controlled or anything like that. But still, the capacity for this ship to defend itself is pretty good. But again, this thing is 100% a carrier, and it does the job that it needs to do, which is understandable, really. So the one cool thing I wanted to highlight before making our way back down towards the... hang on, let me just find a button for it. There you go. Oh, hang on, I need to... there we go. Yeah, the thing I wanted to highlight before moving back down to the thing is you can get into the elevator and you actually see the docking collar at the back there as well. So we have multiple docking collar potentials here. Now, I don't know if that means that we'll be able to go like directly into... Yeah, like I don't know if that means we'll be able to choose what docking collar we get to go onto, but still, that's pretty cool. So as you can see also, the design of the bridge is very, asymmetrical. 2 designs at the front, 2 sides at the back, looking pretty stellar. So, on to the next part. So, I thought, for my next part of the ship, that I personally absolutely adore, I thought I'd show you the best room in the ship. The armory. Yes, the armory. You have all the pew-pews and all of the weapons racks, which are all interactable. So if you're a fan of milsim groups, or if you're a fan of getting equipment and preparing it for your clan's operations, you are in luck. This entire area is built and ready for you, and it looks absolutely stunning. Oh, but let me just highlight some other location as well that makes this whole experience even more fucking awesome. Oh, look, there's more guns. Oh, wonderful. That's absolutely great. Be really handy for the fucking firing range you have. You can tell I'm having a bloody great time, Hal. But yes, we finally have a firing range, and it looks so cool. Sadly, it's probably not going to be working anywhere to the same standards as what Squadron 42 was displaying, but still, the concept of a firing range, that would be cool. And if it worked, oh my god. I would not mind if they just gave us a simple, paper target thing that would come up and down, that allowed you to fuck around with weapons and shooting and stuff like that. That just, to me, sounds absolutely brilliant. Also, another weapons rack, because you cannot get enough of a weapons rack. Seriously. And even a ventilation has a weapons rack. No. But still, this is absolutely fantastic. I personally love this room. I think it's I think it's really cool, and I very much want to see more of ships with the larger ships. I definitely want to see more things like this, because having the ability to have a base with a big armory on top, big thumbs up for that one. So, we approach what I think is possibly a first-time thing in Star Citizen history. We have our very own briefing room. Yes, we have our own freaking briefing room. We've got 3 rows worth of cool shit. I mean, come on. It's a briefing room. Like, any one of you who may be recreating certain scenes, you're either thinking the exhaust port is right below the main port, is about 2 meters wide. Thinking references there, or you may be thinking, or you may be thinking, I'm about to go kick ET's ass. There are so many references we could be throwing out here. I would be here forever. Yes, I know, sir. I appreciate you're done with all the references, but please, you have to understand, we're very simple minds here. But no, so yes, this is just incredible. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Really impressed with this. It's so cool finally having a briefing on a fucking ship and being able to have this sort of stuff. The first week of this ship being released, there are going to be so many promo shots of someone having a briefing in this ship. The amount of ships, the briefings will be through the roof. Like, everyone will just have a guy who will have an Idris, and they will basically just be like, okay, we're going to have yet another briefing in the briefing room, because everyone will want to do a briefing, and that is how life is. You go into Star Citizen to get a briefing. So, going into another really cool room, which, this is actually kind of cool. I've noticed that when you enter this room, this thing comes up and down. Now, I don't know if it's automatic all the time, or whether I just timed it really well. I'm just going to assume it's... No, it does... Hang on. Oh, it is. That's so cool. So this thing actually reacts to you as you walk through, so it gives you permissions and shit, which is cool. Anyway, this is the engine room. And I will say, this is a very cool engine room. Not because of the... no pun intended. But this is a very, very visually impressive room with quite a lot of functionality, which when engineering finally decides to enter into Star Citizen gameplay, we are going to find us that looks like a crawl space. So I just immediately noticed that, and I'm like, that looks like you can interact with that. I could do something with this. Anyway, So as you can see, we have a whole host of different interactables, and if you're an engineer, I could very much easily imagine someone spending a very large amount of time just looking and exploring and, well, I said not just looking, keeping the ship running even when the shit hits the fan. And I can imagine the shit will be hitting the fan on many occasions, given the kind of version of this craft. This looks like it retracts. Yeah, this looks like this retracts. Yeah. Pressure. Please ensure hatch is sealed after use. Yeah, this thing opens. This thing opens. I can't actually do it, but this thing opens. So as you can see, we have an engineering terminal here and here. So depending on how many engineers you want to have in this particular ship, yeah, this thing is in fact quite, the strong capable thing. But still, engine room, really cool. Now, as we make our way into a room that, if you've been at CitizenCon last year, you would be very familiar with in terms of the Javelin, but in here, oh my god, is that an actual working bin? We have a bin. It's a I was about to say, this is something that we have seen quite a lot in our own ships, but never once... God, teasing us with the fucking military version. It's like, look at the version you could have had! Anyway. So, yes, this is the mess room, and as you can see, we've got a lovely plan, pretty much the same design as it is on the Javelin, which makes sense, considering this is a military-esque vessel from the Messer time, so it would make sense for everything to be exactly the same. But the first thing I can say is we have a bin, which I am going to leave a little present, because why the fuck not? Does this work? This will be a good test. Here you go. And there you go. I leave my mark in Star Citizen history. I am the first person to put a bottle... I could actually be the first person. Who knows? I could be the first person to make... I am the first recorded person to put a empty bottle in an Idris bin. You've made it, Mr. Jaeger. I am the first to use the bin in an Idris. Oh, for God's sake. Anyway, on to more serious points. So as you can see, we have an absolutely stunning eating gallery, which then proceeds all the way back out into the galleries over here. But it also kind of connects into another little section, which, if I'm not mistaken, we go through to here. We go into the bedrooms. That's right. This is all of the mess hall and the cool stuff. And we finally get access to the cool, like, bunk bed systems that were available, plus the locker stuff from that. So if you want to recreate if you want to recreate Squadron 42's intro schematic for systems like that, you can do so. Also, we have another lounge room. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. Oh, this must be like where the officers sleep. Yeah, this is clearly an officer's room. They got their own chairs. No teddy bears though, so you can actually see some things. But oh, that's actually pretty cool. I actually didn't see this last time. And when I say last time, I mean I did have a wander around this ship in the PTU because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have frames. So this is a bit of a slight letdown in the sense of, like, this isn't my full blind reaction. I do like to have blind reactions to things, but at the same time, I didn't actually get to go into here, so there was a bit of blind. And if we go into here, we have access to the showers. Yes, more, and actual toilets as well, which is pretty nice. Oh, workable doors. Is that actually a door? Yes, it is, of course. Actual toilets as well. GG. I'm not entirely sure what the whole nice-looking chair is. It's just like... just someone has opened the toilets there and they're like, hello. Anyway, creepo vision aside, this is still pretty cool. And it also does symbolize a few semi-important things, which I'm hoping won't come around for a little while, but I fear they may do, which is, of course, the whole hygiene aspect towards ships in Star Citizen. That's terrifying. Because, obviously, when it comes to hygiene and standards and food and everything else like that, that is an officially confirmed part of the game. And there you go, there's the extra toilets as well as showers and stuff, so... there you go. All of the hijinks that a space fleet ship would need to have. But yeah, in all seriousness, that is going to be a thing we're going to have to deal with, which I'm not looking forward towards for sure. So as we walk along this rather dark and gloomy cabin space, we are introduced to the captain's quarters, which, I believe, if we look around here, you can see he has his own, or he or she can have their very own chairs, and he can have or she can have a nice little sit down in a very nice looking upholstered chair. You've got a very nice little cabinet for Mr. or Mrs. Captain. You have purple pink sheets. Then clearly there's a female captain in this one here. But still, there's captains and other captains everywhere. So yes, you have all the fancy pants stuff, and maybe even the ability to bed log. Who knows? You can do your captain's log. I have pink shower curtains, and life is good. So yes, I would say you have a captain's room. I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel like at the moment there's two, to be fair. There's actually 2 captain's rooms, so you never know. You might have a sub-captain. And you have a toilet with handlebars on it. Well, hey-ho. But yes, no, you might have a captain's room and a sub-captain's room. I mean, this one has more of the same color pins. But, oh, well. But no, I'll be honest with you. I don't really see the value at this moment in time about having the captain's room because, well, it's just a room. It's just a room with some fluff stuff. It doesn't really serve any real purpose at this moment in time. So, yeah, I don't feel like there's a huge value in things like this, but at the same time, yeah, I definitely feel like this is something that is pretty cool, but not something I'm overly focused on. The one thing I can say is that the captain apparently is very close to the crew, because you can immediately go into the toilets from the captain's room, and then you can make your way out to the far side as well. So, you know, you're always within we'll say this: the captain is always within shouting distance if you want to complain. So don't hold back if you have a problem with how the ship's being run. Ah, the brig. Yes, then where all the naughty people go to. So this ship has its own brig. So yes, bounty hunting confirmed. You can totally do bounty hunting in this ship. Because that's the only reason you'd buy an Idris P. Congratulations. Yes, so if you have been a naughty boy or girl and have decided to break some of the rules in Star Citizen or on Ship's Command, or you said the word Titanic on a cruise liner, you would in fact get into very serious trouble, and you can end up putting yourself in the brig. So this actually has a toilet. It's got its own little like pantry stuff, and there's like a little privacy pen for anything, but you're not quite as private as you'd may hope. So you probably don't want to be put into the brig if at all possible. But you know, at least you have the ability to actually get yourself away and save yourself a bit of trouble. Well, if you yeah. So hello. Ooh, you can press buttons. You can deploy and retract. Oh yes, lovely. What is this? Oh, cool. So I just close the door. Did I close all of the doors? Oh, wait. No, hang on. Wait, what? Oh, you can... Oh, that's so cool. So you can specifically open certain cell doors from here. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty cool. Again, I don't really know if this serves a huge purpose at this moment in time. However... Oh, I think I actually opened this door. Yes, I did. Oh, that's cool. But as you can see, door is in control of, cell block 1 or 2 or whatever. But still. So no, again, I don't really see the huge value of doing it in this particular game mode at this point in time. But still, I think it's really cool, and I think it's a really flush system. And I think it's the first of its kind to have such a high level of depth. Also, escape pods, which, unfortunately, you can't see on any screens here, but these things, when you open them up, actually are the same as the cargo pods that you get on the MPUV cargo transport. The people cargo transport, not the cargo transport. Well, I suppose we might as well go to the ultimate in what this ship is all about. But before we spoil it by showcasing the best part of the ship for many of the people, I'm going to move my head directly away from the screen, so that way you don't get that excited, but you get to see probably one of my favorite things in any kind of sci-fi universe game / whatever, is of course the transparent computer glass, which allows you to see fancy pants things and makes it look like a very cool controlling room, hence this being known as the control room, which is pretty cool. So you get to access all of the funky bits of equipment, and of course when you get ready to launch shit in towards the briefing room, you get to see this really cool display and everything else, and you can also see what the weather's going to be like and what the humidity is going to be, and also the pollen count. Don't forget, hay fever is a killer, even in space. Anyway, this is really cool. I personally find this to be really exciting, and I'm a bit of a sucker for these particular kind of computer things. That's why, for example, I absolutely adore the internals of the Vanguard Sentinels, primarily because of the internal deck for that. But Okay, well, I've teased you long enough. It's about time we looked at the hangar. Yes. We have finally have access to the hangar. And the control room, which has interactable display screens, and eventually we'll have the ability to sit on the chairs and stuff, which is going to be sick as shit. Seriously. There's going to be a milsim group, and I'm fairly certain they're going to treat this like an actual aircraft carrier. But can I also just say, holy shit, this view. My God. Just look at that. Wow. Wow. It's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. But yes, before we go down into the cargo hold and having a look-see, let's have a look at this entire cargo deck. Well, cargo deck. Hangar deck. Just look at it. It is freaking huge. And just imagine, I realize I'm sounding like a fanboy again, but fuck, this thing is huge, and the potential is going to be massive. Now, obviously, we need to temper our expectation with a little bit of reality. In the grand scheme of things, when players do get access to this ship, it's going to take them a while to get themselves set up. More to the point, what are they going to be used for? Well, let's put it in this perspective. The first question will be, how many ships do you think they'll try and get into this thing? How many ships do you think is possible to put into this thing? And more importantly, if there is such a thing, I mean, let's face it, if someone decides they want to turn this ship into a carrier for Furies, there's not enough players in the server for them. Just gonna say right now, that would be an impressive feat. I think that would truly be the ultimate test, is if you had an Idris filled with bloody Furies, like legitimately all of the Furies at the same time flying out of this bloody ship. That's an impressive feat, to say the least. But yes, the main thing I'm trying to get across here is that while this is absolutely stunning, and I very much am impressed by it, and having now finally seen the inside of this thing, I am very keen to see what more can be done with it. I am also tempering the expectation of we're not going to see the epic kind of stuff that most people have been fanboying or fangirling over since we saw that trailer way back 10 fucking years ago. I just remembered how many years ago it was. Yes, 10 years ago, we had a trailer for Squadron 42 where we finally saw a first-hand perspective of an Idris ship internally. My God, it looks incredible. Also, can I just see if there's I'm going to see where... Oh my God, there's the spaceport. This thing is beautiful. Like, I am just stunned by the views from this area. This is beyond beautiful. Look, there's a ship. That's cool. Unless... That's cool. That's really cool. Anyway... We need to focus. So one of the other things I was going to highlight as well is this ship has got a fair degree amount of cargo. And now you may be wondering, and yes it is, we do have a bunch of grav panels located on the sides of the hangar bay. Now obviously this isn't all of where the cargo is going to be stored. No. The actual location of where the cargo is going to be stored, which if we head up to the top, can actually go up to the main deck, or you can open or whatever. But what we can also do is reach the cargo bay here. So this has quite a large cargo capacity, and there is another cargo bay room in this ship as well, which is actually pretty cool. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure how the cargo system is really going to be, how the cargo, and like in terms of cargo and supplies and everything, because as you can see, there's not many open doors and shit like this. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to really manage cargo in this particular ship. That is something that is a bit of a mystery to me. So any of you logistical experts out there who somehow come to this video, please enlighten me. I would love to know. I very much appreciate you getting to this part in the video, so thank you so much for your patience in that. But I genuinely am dumbfounded as to how this entire thing is supposed to work. But yeah, that is still extremely cool, and we still have, like, my understanding would be, in terms of logistical support, is that the grav plates on the side basically are for the individual ships in tow / the quick fire thing. So you've got all, like, the fuel, you could have all of the ammunition, you could have all of the components, repair parts, and everything else for the ships that you're going to be maintaining inside this pit, inside this hangar bay. But at the same time, I am also very curious as to how we're going to be able to get the most out of this particular ship in that realm. But still, I am thoroughly impressed with all of what this ship has to offer, and holy shit, this fucking view. Said, holy shit, though, this is absolutely stunning, and I am honestly gobsmacked for what this particular thing could be. So yeah, no, big win for you, Idris. You won the ship war. Oh shit, there's another bin. I think this is a bin. No, it's not a bin. So we now go to another room with another bit of functionality. This is the Argo hangar / defensive turret position. Yes. So you get access to another couple of size 5 Goldrine turrets, or laser cannons from this little thing here, which is actually pretty cool. It's a little bit of a lonely journey, I'm not going to lie. I imagine if you are a new player to the ship, and you're a gunner, this may be your first posting area, unless you're lucky and you kind of do ship rotations for your gunners. But still, this is quite a lonely spot for the gunner, because it's actually quite divided and separated. But as per usual, I'm not the kind of fan of the most obvious things, but I'm actually a fan of the somewhat obvious things. And what I mean by the somewhat obvious things is the hangar for your MPUV, or whatever small ship you want it to be. So this is the hangar bay for this, and I'm thinking that there's probably... There you go, yeah, there's the hangar control. So there's basically a button that you'll be able to activate. This thing would open, and this is where your MPUV cargo vessel-esque thing, or, personal infantry transport, whatever you want to call it, this thing would basically be the thing that you use to transport yourself, along with a few friends of yours, down to the planet side if you didn't need to. Now, I also think this will be a really cool option for, like, role players, milsimmers, that sort of thing. So when you do actually have a finger quote working naval thing for this could be the way that you could do things. Again, this sounds incredibly sad, but just to think for a second, could we seriously have a concept where someone in real naval stuff could be like, let's see how this works, because that would be kind of cool, not gonna lie. My inner geek would die of excitement. But in the more Star Citizen practical sense, this is basically an additional hangar for you to take whatever kind of ships you're needing. Either a Pisces medical, or perhaps maybe an additional ship fighter. Like, I'm not entirely sure what you would want to bring into this particular thing. You could bring the MPUV cargo. That is a very much legitimate thing you could do, but at the same time I realize that may not be the desire of everyone involved. Though I can say this as well. Going into this room here, no idea what the fuck this thing is. Hang on, does it say it above here? No, it doesn't. So no idea what the fuck this thing is. My assumption is it's the gravity generator. Hello. I'm sure you've been given very much an essential task. Actually, to be fair, you actually do, so credit. No, so this thing actually has a kind of cool, funky feature to it. So if you actually press this button here, you close this up, and you effectively lock yourself in with a gravitational device thingamajig. Very technical. I said this is probably the gravitational this is probably the gravity generator orb inside the ship. How it works, I can't fathom. I'm assuming what it's happening is this particular ship, this particular thing, is using its centrifugal forces to create a stable Earth-like gravity within the ship itself, being fed by whatever these particular things are shooting. They're either firing some kind of plasma or not idionic. I want to say idionic gas, but no, there's an idionic or edonic, whatever the fuck word is, gas-like substance, which then powers this particular thing to either A, keep it stable as it rolls around at a ridiculous rate, or it does some kind of or it keeps the temperature of this particular device cool, so it basically throws in some sort of cooling gas system in order to ensure that this particular device still continues to work even in the worst of times. But yeah, this particular room is extremely cool. It almost reminds me of, for some reason, it reminds me of Charles Xavier's headspace room. I don't know why I thought of it as headspace room, but when he uses his device to... oh, that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, the room where he can basically find mutants with just his mind, and it's sort of psionic device that allows him to go further afield than his usual range. But yes, that is indeed a very cool room. But again, I like this maintenance room. I could easily find myself working in this particular part of the ship for very long periods of time, as I'm not much of a captain. I'll be honest with you. I like the concept of working. I'd like, obviously it's nice to have a big ship, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly a fan of that concept. I kind of would much prefer to just be the average guy, maybe slightly higher in the leadership role so I could have a bit of respect, but I wouldn't consider myself a big fancy pants leader. But if I could work on something like this for a clan, that would be pretty cool. Do my part, make a mark, but, avoid all the painful responsibilities of shit. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how things fare. But one last thing is, of course, this gym, which is the ready room for all pilots. So if you want to have a hamster wheel, you have a hamster wheel. You want to have random pads to do some exercise, you've got random pads to do exercise, as well as some lockers before making your way back up towards mess center. So after a very good, successful day of not dying, you can congratulate yourself. And then you can go onto the simulators to have a bit more fun as well. So all in all, a pretty awesome self-contained experience. So we are out finally, and the ship has been given a nice little once-over. So thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you are enjoying yourself a wonderful Invictus launch week. So don't forget, I'm going to be doing an episodic series on the Invictus launch week event. Now, bearing in mind, this particular year, it's the 5th year's anniversary of me doing this in a row, but they've actually decided, or CIG have actually decided to do things a little differently. So we'll see how things fare. We might end up be doing multiple episodes in one day, or multiple days as per usual, or we may only be doing a few episodes. I'm not entirely sure. But still, looking very much forward to seeing what's going on down there. If you want to have a look where my character is looking, you can see the Bepin Center. It's all the way over there. It's very tiny. But this area is absolutely gorgeous. I very much like being here. I hope they let this place be open once again. As I said, I want this area to be open, so that way you can, see really cool things whilst we get to sort of see the ship floating above the stars, which would be really, really cool. But yeah, no, big props to this particular event. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Invictus launch week has for us. And if you are curious about trying Star Citizen or having a look into it, I won't lie, it's been rough. It's been very rough. I've definitely gone through the phase of having frustrations with this game, but I will give credit where credit is due. We're in Invictus launch week. Now, okay, we're in the middle of the week, so it's not going to be quite the same, but we're doing a free fly event at peak points when the Americans are playing, and I'm on the highest settings in my particular computer, which is, it's good, it's pretty good, but it's still not the best, and I'm getting decent frames, recording as well. So I will say this, in a busy area where I'm getting pretty decent frames, in my opinion, decent frames, and we're able to see pretty high quality levels of graphics whilst also seeing all the benefits of that, I'd say this is a pretty solid thing. So if you are wanting to try Star Citizen, feel free to look at the description below, whereupon you will find a referral link that allows you to earn additional credits for just signing up within a game account. So if you want to get a bit more money to spend in-game to be able to do more awesome things, then feel free to do so, and I'd very much appreciate all of the feedback as well for these videos. So do let me know what you think of the video as well. Looking forward to seeing you guys in tomorrow's episode, which will be all about Invictus. Yes! When the elevator decides it wants to show up. Anyway, I'll catch you guys next time. This is Mr. Jaeger signing out. Finally.